I want to review something that's not technical, not technologic, but that changes your life. It's actually, I have an
Mm.
old one here. I did not expect that question, but somehow I came prepared. And this is it. It's ugly, it's dirty, it's traveled with me all the way to high camp. And
And
this
just for
improves
people
your,
who aren't watching, let me just tell you, you're holding up your eye mask at the moment.
yeah, an eye mask that doesn't touch my lashes, which is important for a woman, especially if you get eyelashes extension, but it cuts the light completely. And
Mm.
studies have shown it improves your sleep by 68%. And you
Mm.
don't need an Oura ring to tell you because you'll feel so energetic. You're like, oh my God, I don't sleep as long as before. And so maybe your ring could tell you, hey, you don't sleep long enough, but guess what? You have tons of energy. So that thing, which is all completely destroyed now, has gone all over the world with me. I have 4 of those.
Mm.
And it changes completely your life. If you don't have one, even the little tiny red light from a TV in a hotel room or whatever it is
Mm.
will perturb your sleep, will wreak havoc with your whole pattern. So that's why this really changes everything. And
So
it's the
that's a
smallest,
great. I mean,
cheapest
that is
thing.
excellent. We haven't had an eye mask on our biohacking reviews yet.
So you see, I don't see you. And you can sleep like a baby, really. That's the big difference. I mean, if you have $20 to spend, this is it.
Mm. We do have light receptors in our skin as well. So I always sort of think, oh, even if I'm wearing an eye mask and there's
Well,
a sort of
believe
a
me, I
bright light in
sleep.
the room.
Well, if you're like me, you're burrowed in a blanket all the way here. And I
Mm.
do put a pillow, maybe it's like natural biohacking since I was a kid, on my head. So I have very little skin exposed.
Hang on, you've got a pillow on your head while you're sleeping.
I'm protecting myself against potential enemies. You never know what could happen when you sleep.
Oh, I love it. Because you stayed the night at base camp, didn't you, before your final ascent on your
High
walk?
camp. High
Um,
camp.
high camp, right. So when I did Mount Tubkal, I found that I slept very badly at altitude. How was your sleep up there?
Well, you don't sleep because
Yeah.
you arrive there around 2 in the afternoon. You have a lunch, then you rest and you leave around midnight. I did not leave at midnight. I left at 2:30. Here are people. So I seriously did not sleep 1 minute.
No
And
way.
it's okay. You just run on adrenaline and fumes,
Mm.
and the harder is not going up. I don't know if you remember for your own experience, but it's coming down because you're tired
Yeah.
and you have to be
Mm.
super focused not to fall. And then, of course, you need to sleep at that point. But it's pretty much a 48-hour without sleeping.
Yeah. So you had your eye mask in your bag and you had your vitamin C, curcumin,
Yep.
and red light. And those were the biohacks you took on with you.
Yeah. And this, I couldn't sleep, but still I could rest like this because I had and I also put like
Mm.
silicone earplugs. So I kind of have my own little world to not sleep, but kind of doze off a bit and have some sort of healing rest, even though you can't sleep because it's high and you have a lot of
Mm.
things happening around and people coming in and going and people pushing you, but resting. And this I did put in. I wanted to ask the guys to create a button for me that it never stops. So I can just move it in my sleeping bag, on my body. And at high camp, 5,800 meters, I took 1 gram when I got there and 1 gram at midnight so that I would have,
Of vitamin C.
yeah.
Yeah. I quite like to travel with electrical tape, which is just black tape that isn't
Yeah,
see through. You go around putting it on in the air conditioning unit in here. I've put a little bit on
everywhere.
the tape over there. Yeah. And then it's just great. It just blocks out the light and it takes away the stress. Because what I used to do is sort of look around for a sock and then try and hang the
Me
sock
too.
over the
Or
standby
like
light and see the
towels from the bathroom and put all over.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, this is I mean, that's why I use that as well. It really
Yeah.
protects you from everything around you and you're in a little bubble.
Yeah. As always, Valerie, really lovely to talk to you. Thank you for coming on again. Where can people find out more about you and your brand and everything that you're doing?
So they can go on Instagram, Valerie or Sony. They can
Mm.
go for these products and all our athleisure, which is 100% recycled and upcycled on lilywarrior.com.
Mm.
I created this company during COVID to help the planet with everything we do is recycled. So that's really important.
Mm.
And then, yeah, pretty much go to valbiohacker.com. That's where I share. I don't have a podcast like you with all the research I do and everything. Like one subject, like you talked about seed oil, and I'm like going into it. Is it true that it's bad? Yes, no, why, how? So that's valbiohacker.com.
No, it's
Thank
brilliant.
you
I
for
love
having
your,
me,
I
Tony.
absolutely, yeah. And I love your sort of, I think of all the people on Instagram, you're one of the ones doing the closest to what I like to do. You know, you sort of spark interesting discussions about things going on in the news as well. Haven't even had a chance to ask you about, you posted that classic picture of RFK eating his burger recently. I mean, it was odd that, wasn't it? Like, I sort of wondered if if the Trumps had said, let's just give him a burger. And then as soon as he starts taking a bite of his McDonald's, get the official photographer out and get him to take a picture and we'll just troll him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm all for pleasure in life, but what kind of pleasure do we find in this type of
Mm.
food? It's not even food. It's like a
Yeah.
punishment of the gods or something. But also, when you just said that your first mission is going to be to tackle the obesity
Mm.
pandemic, and the next thing we know, you're posing with four people. There's not one who has salad. Everyone has
Yeah.
McDonald's, Coca-Cola. You're like,
Mm.
is that sponsored by the big, you know, food
Mm.
industry, big guys, or not? And in any case, it is these guys have to lead by example. And
Mm.
as much as I agree, 80-20, 80% perfection, 20% delicious imperfection, that's not even delicious. That's just, and some people were very aggressive in their comments on this
Mm.
post. So I had to ban them because for my cortisol level management, I don't allow trolls on my account. I'd rather have a lower engagement than having bad people. But I was
Mm.
telling them, you had as a leader, you have to lead by example. And when
Mm.
people said, yeah, but sometimes you don't have a choice, come on, it's a private jet, you can order caviar if you want. So they could have ordered salads and stuff and maybe french fries, but not the whole thing. Burger, french fries, coca-cola. I'm like, seriously, that's like
Yeah.
it's not the holy trinity, it's the terrible one.
I think it was a mistake. It really was. I think, having stood on that platform and everybody knows that he's sort of quite counterculture and stands so far against all the
Yeah,
sorts of things that McDonald's stands for. It was clearly a mistake, but he
yeah.
might have also been playing a political game, which is if the president's just made you in charge of health, you're going to eat his McDonald's if he gives it to you on the plane because that's your choice. You might not, I mean, that's just might be the sort of
And we'll
dynamic
see,
that we don't
to
know
be
behind the
honest.
scenes.
I have no expectation whatsoever. We'll see what happens. The only thing that I'm expecting is apparently Kennedy Jr. said he would allow somehow peptides to be more mainstream in the States. And that's what a lot of biohackers are looking at. The fact that
Mm.
peptides might come out of this kind of, I don't know, closeted thing where they are being put
Yeah.
by a lot of people and a lot of misinformation on how dangerous peptides are. Maybe
Mm.
he will do that. And that would be for me an amazing thing. And if he wants
Yeah.
to eat burgers, I don't care as long as kids don't
Peptides.
think it's the only choice.
Yeah. Well, if that and psychedelics change, it's going to be really big. Valerie,
Yeah.
lovely to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving up your time and coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good one.
There you go. That is Valerie Orsoni. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and we'll see you next week.